Girl, the bar is on the floor. You are done settling. Gone are the days where your standards are too low. In this video, we are going to learn how to stop settling for low vibrational men and start attracting men who are going to treat you well and put you up on a pedestal. But first, let's define the difference between deal breakers, standards, expectations, and preferences, because people tend to get these confused. Deal breakers are things that you cannot live with. It's when someone does something that you do not like, it automatically disqualifies them from your dating pool. This is something that if someone breaks this deal breaker and you allow it to happen and accept it, that means you are compromising on who you are from your values, morals, religion, and principles. Common relationship deal breakers could be physical and emotional abuse, clinginess, substance abuse, anger issues, poor communication, and an unwillingness to compromise. Then you have your standards, which are the bare minimum. This could be he has a job, he has a car, he has his own apartment, he has a 401k, he has a good relationship with his family, whatever. Then you have expectations, which are that he needs to be making six figures, he needs to take me on vacation 3 times a year, he needs to buy me whatever I want, when I want. Then you have preferences, which is what you prefer in a guy. This could be he is 6 feet tall, he has blue eyes or dark skin, light skin, things that are not like an end-all be-all, but you would prefer it. A lot of people get these 4 things confused and don't understand the difference when you're looking for a partner. When you say, oh, I want a guy to buy me a Birkin bag, this is just my standard, when really it's just a really high expectation. Now, should you lower your standards? No, you keep those. Should you sway on your deal breakers? Also no. Should you maybe lower your preferences and expectations? Yes, you should, because those are not as important. Now that you know the difference between deal breakers, expectations, preferences, and standards, I want you to take out a pen and paper, or maybe just your notes app, because we are about to write your love story. Before I got married, I sat down with my friend and I was talking to her about how all these terrible, low vibrational men kept coming into my life and just not meeting my standard. I was looking for that high value man, and for some reason, I just kept attracting what I would call low value men. So she told me, Devin, write out a list of everything you need in a man, not want, need. What is something that you cannot live without? But you know what I did? I took it one step further. I wrote a story. I wrote a story about the truest and most beautiful relationship I can imagine. I wrote a story about a strong woman who is with a man that kisses her on her cheek when she wakes up in the morning. I wrote a story about a relationship where the man and woman walk on the beach together, holding hands, talking about our future. I wrote a story about a man who listens to the woman's feelings and doesn't allow his ego to get in the way. I wrote my love story. And when I did this, it was no longer about what society was telling me what I should have in a man. It was no longer about what society deems as the ideal relationship. It was my story. How often do you come across videos where women are saying, oh, he needs to buy me this, he needs to fly me out to Dubai, and then everyone follows this advice blindly and never stops to ask, is this what I really need out of my relationship? Is this a part of my most beautiful and truest story? When I ask women what their standards are, it's just regurgitated standards that they hear other women saying. He needs to have this, he needs to be a provider, he needs to look like Michael B. Jordan. And all of these standards aren't really standards. They are just really, really high expectations. I want you to block out all of this social media relationship advice that you have received, any talk about high value men or low value men and what their qualities are, and I want you to sit back in a quiet environment and sink into yourself and ask yourself, what is the truest and most beautiful relationship I can imagine? What is my definition of a high quality relationship? Throw out all of the rules and write your own. Build your life from the inside out. Stop looking outside of yourself for the world to tell you what to look for in a man, what you should put up with when it comes down to your deal breakers, and ask yourself, what do I want from my world? What am I willing to put up with in my own relationship? And once you are done writing your story, understand that these are not dreams or just a story, but it's a standard. It is the blueprint for what you want out of your life and relationship. And once you create this story becomes your reality. This story will become your plan. And when that relationship you are in does not match up with the story you have created, then you, my friend, are settling. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you do know we only have one life to live. You could believe in reincarnation, but me personally, I believe I only have one life to live. So I'm gonna live it up. A lot of us often settle because it's safe. It's more comfortable to live in mediocrity than to be single and not know if your true soulmate is really out there or not. So when you settle for mediocre average men, you are settling for mediocre average romantic relationships. When you settle for mediocre average jobs, you are settling for mediocre average income and skills. When you settle for a mediocre average you are settling for a mediocre and average life. Stop being mediocre and go after what you think you deserve. Do you know how many times my friends told me that my standards were just too high and that I was too picky? Thank God I didn't listen to them, because by me being picky, I was able to sort out through all the wrong men that came into my life much quicker than if I had low standards. And I was able to meet a man and marry a man who did meet my standards. And you want to know why women like me are able to find men who treat them well, take them on dates, spoil them, and attract men who are doing something with their life? It's because women like me knew their worth and believed in our story and did not settle for anything less than what we thought we deserved. Because what's the point in having less? I live my life saying, what's the point? What's the point in me being in a relationship where the man can't love me the way I already love myself? What's the point of me working for a company where I know my skills and talents aren't appreciated? What's the point? You settle for these men because you settled on yourself. You don't believe that you are worthy of having a man who fits into your truest and most beautiful story, and you are only hurting yourself when you do that. We only have one life to live. Do you really want to spend it with someone who you know is not the right person for you? I really need you to sit back and acknowledge the reality of who your significant other is and ask yourself, does this person's behavior align with my values and standards right now? Are they able to fulfill my needs right now? A woman who is settling says things like, well, maybe this is the best thing I can do for this relationship, or maybe I'm asking too much. No. A high value woman who doesn't believe in settling doesn't focus on how long she has been in the relationship or the energy she has put into it already. You'll never hear a high value woman saying, oh, well, we've been together for 4 years. I've already spent so much time with him. We might as well stay together. Maybe it'll click for him in the future. No, it won't. She doesn't care. She focuses on how she is feeling now and in this present moment, and understands that she is not getting the love, attention, and appreciation that she deserves because life is too short to settle for anything less. Stop looking outside yourself. It's not my job, or anyone else's job for that matter, to tell you if you are settling. You are probably willing to put up with more things than I am, or vice versa. But ask yourself, and don't lie to yourself, was this the life you imagined? Was this the fairy tale relationship that you imagined as a little girl? Or did you forget that story somewhere down the line? It was probably because society started to tell you what it is that you should look for in a relationship, what an ideal high value man was. Who were you before society told you who to be? What did you want before society told you what to want? When you learn that pleasing the world is impossible, then you will learn how to please yourself. And once you learn how to please yourself, you will then attract others who will want to please you as well and add to your life. You are settling. You're settling on what the world tells you who to be, do, and want. Have you ever asked yourself, what is it that I want? If you go on Google or Reddit, you will find hundreds of thousands of women asking strangers for advice about their relationship, asking questions like, what should I do if my boyfriend cheated on me but I still love him? You're asking people to make some of the most important decisions of your life. If your man cheats on you, some religious people insist that a good Christian woman would stay in the relationship, but some feminists say that a strong woman would leave. Some women say a good man is one who pays all their bills, and others would say that a good man is one who may not have a lot of money but still treats you kindly. All of these different opinions that do not please anybody. Now, it's fine to look outside yourself and get insight into what you should do if you are having issues in your relationship, but when you start relying on others' advice on relationships that they are not currently in, you are essentially telling yourself that you trust everyone else's opinions about your relationship more than you do your own. Just because your friends, families, and strangers give you advice on your relationship doesn't mean that their words are the holy law. It's time that you create your own rules and stop having society tell you what it is that you should be doing or what you should put up with when it comes to your relationship. So the next time you and your significant other have a disagreement, I am going to challenge you to not ask any of your friends, family, or social media strangers for advice. I need you to figure out your issues on your own. Assess how this relationship is making you feel and express this to your partner regardless of how you think their reaction will be. Assess what you are willing to put up with and what you are not, regardless of what others say. I mean, this is your life story, right? Date yourself. I always say to women that you have to learn to date yourself, regardless of if you are in a relationship currently or not. Because at the end of the day, you are your most loyal person. You watched yourself grow up. You watched yourself go through school. You watched yourself go through your first heartbreak. And you watched yourself cry at night. You are your own most loyal person. You helped yourself get through all of that pain and suffering, yet you have yet to take yourself out on a date. You have yet to go out and buy yourself flowers as a thank you. Thank you, self, for getting through that difficult time. Here is a box of chocolates. Thank you, self, for still getting out of bed when you didn't feel like it because you were sad and depressed. Let's go to the movies or let's go shopping. Even if you are in a relationship, you still need to take yourself out on dates. If your man is not stepping up to the plate, then you need to identify what your needs in this relationship are and start meeting them on your own. Well, Devin, if I have to date myself and meet my own needs, what's the point of being with him? Exactly. What's the point? What's the point of having a man who gives you anything less than what you can give yourself? I don't believe a successful marriage is until death do us part. The key is that before you take your vows, vow to yourself that you won't abandon yourself. Vow to yourself that if he isn't able to meet your needs, then you will meet your own. Vow that if he can't love me the way I need, then I will give myself self-love through self-care. A woman who dates herself finds a way to pamper herself every single day. One day they will decide to get up and take a nice warm bath with candles, a glass of wine, or tea. They will go out and work out, even something as simple as stretching for 20 minutes. I have personally written self-love letters to myself before. So get up, get out of bed, put on some nice fancy clothes, do your hair and makeup, and go take yourself out on a nice dinner. Maybe go for a walk in your local park, attend a museum. It doesn't have to be expensive, but once you start dating yourself, you are then setting the standard for what you expect in a man. Because if you give this to yourself, what's the point of having him around? If you can give yourself that love and validation, you won't need another person to do that for you. When you understand that you were born complete, you will not need anyone else to complete you. Separate your sense of worth from the relationship. Before I got married, everyone was asking me what my career was and what my next career journey was going to be, but as soon as I got engaged, the only thing people cared about was my wedding. Like, I was known as a person who was getting married soon, and that was it. Well, now that I'm married, do you know how many people come up to me and my husband and are asking when we're gonna have kids? We've barely been married for 2 months. And now all of these people are telling me that I need to hurry up and have kids because of my biological clock. It's no longer about my career, and now it's about me being wifey material and I need to hurry up and pop out babies. Basically, people give a lot of importance to your relationship status. And when you are single, people think there is something wrong with you. Your self-worth is not dependent on your relationship. If a person is unable to meet your standards, this is not a reflection of you or whether or not you are worthy of something better. It is just a reflection of their maximum potential. And unfortunately, their maximum potential just isn't a match with what you want or need. You shouldn't lower your standards just because your Aunt Glinda at Thanksgiving is trying to hook you up with some guy from church. You need to be a high value woman. Now, some of you might be upset by what I'm about to say, but I'm just speaking my truth. When it comes to attracting high-value men, as someone who has been lucky enough to meet a lot of high-value men in my life, I have spoken to a lot of them. And let me tell you, if you want to attract men like this, you yourself need to be a high-value woman. I believe we are all born princesses, but we are not all queens. We have to earn that status. Every princess has to go through training, so consider this your first lesson. I need you all to stand up and put a book on top of your head. We are going to learn how to stand up straight. I'm just joking. But no, seriously, I will make a video on going into more detail on how to be a high value woman. But my biggest advice is the way you behave and act when nobody else is looking. That's who you are. When you're in your room by yourself, the way you spend your time, what you eat, how you dress, the way you think, that's who you are. And if you think that how you are behaving in private doesn't slip through the cracks when you are out in public, then you are mistaken. It starts in here. I don't care if you have the nicest designer purse. I don't care if you only wear silk. I don't care if you have good table manners. I don't care what kind of front you put on for TikTok and Instagram. If your attitude is bad, then you will not attract a high value man. If you spend your time gossiping, thinking negatively about others, eating poorly, not working out, and not taking care of your body, if you're not on a strict skincare routine and you are surrounding yourself with toxic people and going to toxic environments, you will attract what you are. So if you are not a supportive spouse, you have no drive, not even, in the work environment, but just in general, you have no passions or anything that you are working towards, you are not nurturing, you pick fights, you are closed-minded, you don't know how to have tough conversations without getting overly emotional, then you will not attract a high value man. You don't need to be perfect, and we all have our flaws. But if you don't know how to control yourself, then you will push a lot of good men away. So make sure that you are checking yourself and your attitude at the door. Anyways, thank you, Diamond Girls, for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment because it really helps boost the channel. I hope you have a beautiful day that is filled with love.